Hello guys, hello again. I hope you're ready because we are on our way for another Flip Classroom. I'm very happy to see you again. Hope you're enjoying these kind of videos and thank you for watching them. You know, these kind of videos can help us to understand the points better, so I hope you enjoy them. This video is gonna be a little bit different. You'll find some surprises. The video is gonna stop from time to time and it's gonna ask you some questions to prove that you understand the information, okay? Today we're going to focus on this question. How often? How often? Notice that I don't say often. No, how often? It has to do with the time. It has to do with the occasions when we usually or we always or we never do things. How often? How many times do we repeat an action? We're going to focus on 6 different words that you can see on your screen, words that you may know. For example, never. Never is a word that we use to say nunca, right? It's a word that we use to say that we have never done something, not even once in your life, something that is new, completely new for you. Then we have hardly ever. Hardly ever is a word that has to do with almost never. In other words, it's something that you have done once or twice in your whole life. Then we have rarely. Rarely is something that you do sometimes, but not very often. In other words, it's something that you do from time to time, you know? Not very often, not every week, definitely not every month, no, maybe once a year or even less. Sometimes. Sometimes it's something that we do from time to time, you know. Not every week, maybe not every day, but from time to time. For example, I sometimes play football. Sometimes. Not very often, not every month, but once in a while my friends call me and they say, Alberto, do you want to come and join us? We're playing football today. I say, okay. But that's sometimes, you know. I used to play more, not anymore. Only sometimes. Usually, it's something that we do often. It's something that we repeat, maybe every week. For example, I usually play the violin to practice. No, I try to practice as often as possible so as to be a good violinist. If you play an instrument, you may play the piano usually, no? You may usually play Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So you usually play the piano. Or if you are trying to improve your English, you may go to an English academy, or someone may come to your house to teach you. Well, probably that person is not coming every single day, but he or she is coming 3 times a week, maybe, or maybe you go to the academy 2 or 3 times a week. This is something that you usually do, okay? Usually is something that you repeat 2 or 3 times a week. And finally, always. This is the complete word. Always is something that you repeat every single day, or almost every single day. So let's find some examples, and we're gonna stop the video so as you to be able to understand and to answer the questions, okay? Let me pose some examples. For example, with never. Never. How often do you drive a car? I'm not talking about me because I always drive my car. Every day I have to drive it to school. But how often do you drive a car? Never, right? You are not 18 years old. You're probably 7 or 8 years old. So you never drive a car. Whenever you get your driving license, then boom, you'll be ready to drive your car. Drive safely, by the way. Another question. How often do you ride a horse? Remember, when we went to the farm on the field trip, a la granja, you rode a horse. I remember that because I saw you, and I have pictures that prove it. But how often do you ride a horse? Hardly ever, right? We hardly ever ride a horse. Once a year? Maybe once every 2 years? That's something that we hardly ever do. Rarely. I have a question. How often do you fly? Yes, how often do you take an airplane, you take off, and you go to another place or to another country? Maybe you do it, maybe you've done it, but how often do you do it? Will you say that you do it sometimes or rarely, once or twice a year? Sometimes. Sometimes is a good question because we do many things sometimes. For example, how often do you go on a field trip? Not every week, not every month, but sometimes, right? Let me ask you a question and maybe you can click on the answer. How often do you do English homework? Think about it. Do you think you do homework Mondays? I'm talking about English, all right? How often do you do English homework? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? How often would you say you're doing English homework? From me, from my classes. Usually. I have a question. How often do you do physical education in school? Remember, usually is a word that we use to say that we do it 3-4 times a week, 2-3 times a week, but not every day. So how often would you say you have physical education or music in your classes in the school? And finally, if we were talking to boys, if boys you're listening to me, if I ask you, how often do you play football? Most boys will say, I play football every single day. I always play football. Not everybody. Some other boys or girls don't want to play football and they play different sports. But if I ask you, how often do you eat? Or how often do you sleep in your house? Or how often do you see or talk to your family or to your friends? What will be the answer? I'm sure you have clicked on the right answer. Remember, if you do something every day, always. If you do it hardly ever or never, we use these words, never or hardly ever. And if you're in the middle, you can use sometimes, if you do it twice a week maybe, or usually if you do it 3-4 times a week. And rarely is for something that you do from time to time, but not very, very often. I hope you understood it. Hope you enjoyed it. It was always very nice to see you guys and see you at school. Have a good day. Bye.